What if I could possibly point out one of the major reasons that relationships are failing miserably in 2025? What if I could point out how intimacy is actually engineered?
Subscribe.
The Voices of Victory podcast show.
Voices of Victory.
Vision.
Voices of Victory.
Leadership.
Voices of Victory.
Workplace-related topics.
The Voices of Victory.
Voices of Victory.
Voices of Victory.
Voices of Victory.
It's time for the show. You are now listening to the Voices of Victory podcast show.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mario Di Leone.
What if I told you that a sociologist, Donald Horton and Richard Wall, coined a phrase back in 1956 that is now our biggest gigantic problem in relationships and intimacy in 2025? Is by far the biggest. You might be saying, what the hell is he talking about? What is Mario talking about today? I'm going to break it all down for you. I'm going to break it down bit by bit, piece by piece, so you understand. This is the illusion of connection when intimacy is actually engineered. So what is this called? The ugly mask that's out there, the big fat problem that is going on is parasocial behavior. Now, what is that? What do we mean by that? What do I mean by that? It's real simple. It refers to the very way that people like you engage emotionally, mentally, or even behaviorally with media figures and social media influencers and people that are fictional characters even. These are one-sided relationships. That's what it is. People engage with them as if they were real, as if they were mutual relationships, even though the connection is one-sided. So when people are experiencing a one-sided relationship, these would be people that would patrol, let's say, Snapchat to follow a particular influencer and suddenly project everything onto them and almost fall in love with them. Literally, parasocial behavior is a part of a parasocial relationship. And you know what it is? It's the attachment psychologically to someone you really don't know because you're projecting everything onto them. And you know what? It's developed through the constant exposure of them through social media as it relates to today. Now, how did this all start? Where did this all come from? Where did this all come from? This whole idea of parasocial behavior. Where did it come from? How is it that intimacy is engineered? Well, people out on social media can indeed be one-sided. When they're one-sided, they're gaining something from it. It's obvious. Let's talk about this further. I want to introduce it. So this is going to be the uncomfortable truth. And what we can understand today is that loneliness, people that are lonely, has become a business model. And desire is the lever that gets pulled. And there's simulated intimacy actually going on. And it's not real. It is not real. It is simulation. That's the first order of business. That's our introduction right there. Let's talk about a parasocial relationship. Let's talk about the origins of it. The very origin of parasocial relationships is 1956. It was coined in 1956 by sociologists Donald Horton and Richard Wall. And what this is, the illusion of a face-to-face relationship. It's one-sided and not reciprocal. And back in the 1950s, it started with television, with TV. People falling in love with their favorite newscaster, their 6 o'clock news person, their talk show host, their favorite television judge that they watch. You see how it all got started? It all got started that way. That's the origin. But it's an illusion of the face-to-face relationship. It's one-sided and it's not reciprocal. That's what we want to understand. So the old school examples of it are TV anchors, radio hosts, soap opera stars, and now today in 2025, we got influencers, Snapchat influencers, all kinds of one-sided engineered intimacy type of relationships. Why is it engineered? Because they have to throw out a desire. They need to perpetuate this endless desire. And that can take over people. That can overtake you. So let's go further from here. Let's talk about the modern explosion, because this is the modern explosion. What makes the 1950s different than now is that influencers will speak directly to you, and you could try to talk back, but it's still mainly one-sided. And there are strands of hope that are constantly being thrown out from the other side. And there are platforms that monetize this type of closeness. Twitch, Patreon, TikTok, Snapchat. These are just some to name a few. There are people that use Snapchat for business. Don't get me wrong. I won't exclude them. But when intimacy is being engineered that way, then we could see what's really going on. And the tough part about it is perceived individual attention. So people are feeling special when they throw them a bone. It kind of reminds me of like, Austin Powers, throw me a bone here. And it's like a person throws them a bone and breadcrumbs them and creates desire, and it becomes one-sided. A parasocial relationship is indeed one-sided. Most people say, well, they're not hurting anybody. It's not about the hurt. It's about the illusion. And it's about waking up to the recognition that it is a big, fat motherfucking illusion. That's what that's about. Don't mind if I cuss. I'm just being raw, because that's what I do. Now, why does it feel real to these people? Well, it feels real because the brain doesn't really distinguish digital from real. And the dopamine loops are created. We all know what dopamine is. Like, you can just go on YouTube and learn that it's dopamine and what the actual meaning of dopamine is. I'm not going to explain it here. But a dopamine loop is the likes, the follows, and the replies. That's what that's about. Well, that's why it feels real. And what it does for some people is it fills an emotional gap for those people that are actually lonely. People that may not have the self-esteem or self-concept or self-worth or have a set of values that they actually follow. In 2025, values is reign supreme. Like, building your self-esteem is going to be wrapped around values. You can see some of my other episodes on that, but it fills the emotional gap for lonely people. That's why it feels real. Now, what makes it so interesting and engaging mentally is there's emotional manipulation and consensual adult, approaches, okay? The way they're being approached and the way the experience is being cultivated or engineered. That's the spectrum of content. Now, why it's actually spreading is that parasocial relationships are easy. Real relationships are fucking hard. Real relationships are worth it. Real relationships have a level of work. They're hard. They're not fucking easy. Yes, I'm going to be the first person to say they are not fucking easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it. And everybody's doing the easy thing, which is parasocial relationships. And you know why it's spreading? Because of high digital loneliness, the isolation that we've put ourselves through. And yes, there are men and women that are both starved for authentic, real, solid connection. And yes, there are all types of exchanges going on in regards to simulation, the exchange of simulation. There's all kinds of things happening there. Now, there are ethical considerations, is that they can indeed target the emotionally vulnerable people. There's an illusion of love. It's a false idea. It's an illusion of intimacy. It's a false idea. It's an illusion of exclusivity. And then there's also emotional extraction, when the other party, the other influencer, is going to emotionally extract. Now, of course, not everybody's going to do this. Not everybody's going to do this. We can't template match and say across the board. However, there are ethical considerations. That's what we need to come to terms with. So that's the parasocial relationship. So the final thoughts of this is that we want to be emotionally real and not socially one-sided. We need to wake up in 2025, reclaim our authentic, sacred, mutual connection, that real deal connection with people. Looking at the soul in front of you and really connecting to a person that you care about and they care about you. That it's a mutual reciprocation rather than a non-reciprocal chase. That's what that's about. Now, in final words, I want you to share this episode. Understand that your worth is not online. It's not online, and it's not by who you know online. It's more understood with who you connect with offline and face-to-face. It's going to be hard. It's not going to be easy, but the illusion of connection is when that intimacy is engineered and it's being manipulated. So men and women, if you are falling into a parasocial relationship, comment your story below. And if it's too personal, it's okay. You don't have to share. Keep it to yourself. But if you have had something similar, comment parasocial relationship below. Have a great day. Buy me a coffee. Click on the description in my YouTube video and click the buy me a coffee link if you really enjoyed this. I like coffee. It keeps the show going. But you know why? Because it puts like hot pepper in my coffee. Like it gets me fired up in the morning. That's what it does. All right. And if I'm fired up in the morning, that means my vocals are also fired up. Have a great day. Really be full of heart. Be authentic. Be safe. Share this episode. Have a great day. See you on the next one.